After my surgery, I discovered my son and daughter-in-law's unexpected betrayal, an incredible jolting truth that shattered my heart. The cozy Midwestern town I'd called home for decades felt alien. The paint on the walls of our family home peeled, like my memories cracked and faded. Each room held laughter. Kyle and I battling it out over board games, Mia rolling her eyes while I recited bedtime stories, and bursts of joy from my grandchildren during holiday feasts. But lately, that warmth turned cold. I was vulnerable, dependent on the very family I had devoted my life to, and they were plotting to tear down the sanctuary of my past. While I lay in recovery, neighbors brought meals with sympathy-laden smiles. They were kind, offering reassurance to a once proud veteran who had guarded his loved ones with his life. Yet, as the days turned into weeks, a gnawing ache grew. I overheard snippets of hushed conversations. The discussions about selling the house to clear Kyle and Mia's debts crashed over me like icy waves. How could they even think about parting with this home, my fortress of memories? It felt like a dagger thrust into my heart, twisting deeper with every thought point one evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky with bruised hues. I confronted them. My voice trembled, words spilling out with a weighty urgency. Why would you abandon all we built here? Are our memories so easily discarded? Kyle's face reddened with anger. Dad, we have to think about our future. He shot back, his words laced with frustration. I looked to Mia, hoping for understanding, but she stood frozen, her expression unreadable amid the tension that filled the room like dense fog. The walls shook with our voices, each photo of smiles and joy seeming to judge us. Days turned into a blur of quiet moments filled with discontent. Despite the emotional turmoil, I couldn't shake the feeling that I needed to act. I began reaching out, sharing my struggles with my neighbors. With every backyard barbecue, every coffee chat on porches, I learned about others who had weathered similar storms. Every story reinforced the kinship of our community, weaving a tapestry of solidarity around me. But the growing void between Kyle and Mia was suffocating. My attempts to mend the rift felt useless. Each effort was a pebble tossed into a vast chasm, creating ripples that faded away. Standing in front of the house, the memories cocooned me. There was strength in the echoes of laughter bouncing off the walls, a reminder of what we could still be. I resolved to fight not just for my home, but for the family bonds that felt threadbare and frayed. Just as I prepared to speak my heart, someone knocked at the door. The sound jolted me from my thoughts. Who could it be? This was a visit that might shift everything, the very confrontation I needed. Could this unexpected arrival help me bridge the growing divide? Would it bring hope, or risk pushing us further apart? With my heart racing, I opened the door, uncertain of how a single moment might change the course of all our lives. As I opened the door, the cool evening air rushed in, carrying the scent of fresh-cut grass and something familiar like home. Standing before me was Clara, my next-door neighbor, her hands clutching a plate of homemade cookies. "I thought you could use some comfort food," she smiled, her warm eyes crinkling at the corners. "Thank you, Clara," I murmured, feeling a rush of affection for this woman who had always been like a second daughter to me. It was the first breath of light in a suffocating darkness. She stepped inside, allowing the door to close behind her, creating a small barrier against the outside world. "Is everything okay?" Her tone changed as she looked around, taking in the palpable tension in the house. I forced a smile. "Just family stuff, you know how it goes." But the weight of my troubles threatened to spill over. Clara could sense it, like a cloud looming overhead, threatening rain. "Do you want to talk about it?" she asked gently. I sat down on the edge of the couch, the fabric rough against my skin, and took a deep breath. "It's Kyle and Mia. They want to sell the house." My voice cracked, and I glanced down at my hands. It's been in the family for generations. I can't stand the thought of losing it, and worse, losing them. I looked up at Clara, her expression a blend of sympathy and understanding. "I can't imagine how hard that must be." She settled beside me, placing her hand on my knee, grounding me in the moment. "But I know something you might not." "What is that?" I asked, my curiosity piqued. There's a community meeting at the old chapel this Thursday. People are gathering to talk about helping families in need, the ones facing situations like your son's. It might be a good opportunity to get some support and advice. Her words felt like a fragile thread of hope. Do you really think so? I asked, the idea flickering nervously in my mind. Knowing my struggles were visible and shared by others could strengthen my resolve. A community uniting against the cold tide of betrayal and despair felt like a lifeline. Absolutely. You have friends, people who care. Trust me, you're not alone in this. She smiled softly, and I felt a flicker of warmth replace the bitter chill in my gut. It was comforting to think I had allies in this fight. What if Kyle won't listen? I whispered, the fear creeping back into my voice. Then you show him how much this house means to you. Clara squeezed my knee, and suddenly, I was not just a father but a man with a purpose, a man willing to confront the demons in his home. Remind him of the memories, all the love within these walls. That night, I prepared my speech for the meeting. I wanted to lay everything bare. To say the words I had held inside for too long, the love, the pain, the hopes I still clung to like the tattered edges of a favorite quilt. With each passing day, the weight of the fight ahead grew heavier. But now, I didn't feel alone. When Thursday arrived, I stood outside the chapel, a breeze rustling the leaves above me. Would it be worth it? Would my family hear me? Taking a deep breath, I stepped inside. The air buzzed with anticipation and shared stories. I felt a sense of unity wash over me, the very spirit of community rallying around like an embrace. But as I scanned the room, my heart sank. There stood Kyle and Mia, unexpected and stiff. Was that a trace of guilt on their faces? I took a step forward, ready to speak my heart, but the moment I opened my mouth, I realized I was standing at the edge of a choice. One that could change everything. Would I find the words to truly reach them, or were we all simply too far gone? The air in the chapel thickened with anticipation, and I felt the weight of the room settle heavily on my shoulders. Kyle and Mia stood a few feet away, eyes averted, as if afraid to meet mine. The flickering lights overhead cast shadows on their faces, making them look more like strangers than my own family. My heart raced, and I struggled to find my voice amidst the din of murmurs and laughter surrounding us. Hey, Clara said softly, moving closer as if sensing my uncertainty. You've prepared for this. Trust your heart. Her words wrapped around me, providing a small comfort, but they only partially eased the knot in my stomach. I nodded, though uncertainty churned within me. Taking a deep breath, I stepped forward. Every muscle in my body felt tight as I approached Kyle and Mia. Voices faded as I pulled my focus to them, feeling the moment like an arrow honed in on the target.
Can we talk?
My voice came out stronger than I expected, cutting through the noise like a knife. The earnestness radiating from my words surprised even me. Kyle turned to me, his expression a mixture of reluctance and something akin to openness, as if he were preparing for an unavoidable confrontation. What's going on? He asked, his tone cautious. I gestured around us, the room thrumming with energy. I thought you both might understand how important this meeting is, how important the house is to me. My stomach tightened as I continued. It's not just bricks and mortar. It's our family history. It's where you grew up, the memories that shaped us. Kyle shifted uneasily, avoiding my gaze. Dad, you have to understand that things change. We can't be tied to the past. But the past is what shapes the future, I countered, my heart pounding in my chest. Selling the house, it feels like selling a piece of who we are. Do you even see it that way? He opened his mouth to respond, but Mia stepped in, her voice low and resolute. It's not just about the house, Dad. It's about moving on. We have our own lives to build. Are you saying that our memories don't matter? That this house, what it represents, is nothing to you? My voice cracked, the emotional weight of my words hanging in the air between us. Of course it matters, Kyle rushed to say, finally meeting my gaze. But sometimes holding on too tightly can hurt more than it helps. His voice broke slightly, hinting at deeper struggles. I felt my heart sink as I absorbed his words. But what if this is the one thing that keeps us connected? When everything else gets hard, family should mean something, don't you think? A small silence settled around us, and for a heartbeat, I saw something shift in their eyes. Maybe it was understanding, or perhaps it was regret. I didn't know, but the moment felt fragile and powerful all at once. Just then, Clara's presence at my side reminded me of the surrounding community. The buzz of voices lingered like a blanket, wrapping me in support. Maybe, she said gently, it's time to realize that change doesn't mean losing what we love. Maybe you can all find a way to hold onto each other while moving forward. Her words sparked a glimmer of hope and left me with a burning question. Was it possible to bridge this gap? Could we find a way to honor our past and still embrace the future? As I looked from Clara to Kyle and Mia, the room felt alive with potential, like the soft glow of dawn breaking through a long, dark night. But I couldn't shake the looming fear of what might come next. Would they truly see the value in what we had, or was the chasm between us simply too wide? I took another deep breath, bracing myself for their responses. The tension was palpable, and I knew that whatever they chose next might very well shape the future of our family. But in that moment of stillness, I realized that the words I was about to speak could lead us down a new path. Would they hear me, or was this battle just beginning? The silence expanded around us, moments stretching thin. I felt the weight of their hesitations, the unspoken words between us, like tiny shards of glass. Mia's gaze flicked to Kyle, her expression an unreadable mix of determination and fear. Suddenly, it felt like I wasn't just fighting for the house anymore. I was fighting for the essence of my family. What if we create new memories, then? I suggested, desperate to find a compromise. What if we keep the house while using it differently? We could make a place for gatherings. A space to celebrate those new lives you're building together. The faintest hint of a frown crossed Mia's face. Dad, you don't get it. Life isn't about the place. It's about the people in it. Yes, but that place has been our anchor, I replied, my voice trembling slightly. Can't we find a way to embrace change without losing everything? Just then, Clara stepped closer and took hold of my hand, squeezing it reassuringly. Your father is right, Mia. The memories and moments don't fade just because the location changes. You can have both. Both? Kyle echoed, clearly wrestling with the weight of the situation. That doesn't seem possible. We can't hold on to the past and expect to move forward without some sacrifices. A flicker of anger ignited in me, almost surprising my own heart. I know transitioning is tough, but isn't family worth the effort? Can't we at least discuss a plan that honors our memories while allowing you to thrive? And what about your honor? Kyle challenged, raising an eyebrow. What if I don't want that house to remind me of some clock that ticks back endlessly? What if I need chaos, a fresh start? His admission hit me like a visceral punch. There was a rawness seeping through his defenses, and I suddenly thought of all the years of struggle, disappointment, and loss he had been through. I sighed deeply. You're right. You deserve a fresh start. But why can't we start together? We are still a family, and that house could be a bridge, not a barrier. My words faltered, lost in the tension hanging in the air. I searched their faces, yearning for a glimmer of agreement or understanding, but all I found were masks of confusion. Then Mia spoke, her voice softer now but edged with pain. Dad, it's hard to think about those memories without also feeling trapped by them. Just look at Kyle, he needs to breathe. And I'm scared, too. I could sense her fear. It echoed in my chest. What if we share it? I urged, words spilling freely now. A place where you can host your lives, where families can grow and be rooted in love. It could hold the essence of what we once were while allowing you to escape its confines. Kyle's silence was loud, and I watched as he seemingly peeled layers back from his heart. It was a revelation, both beautiful and painful, this dance between the past and the future. Mia took a step forward, an unexpected fire igniting in her eyes. What if we do that? Gather everyone we care about so we can cherish those moments? Yes, I exclaimed, hope bursting in my chest. We can make it a new tradition, a family reunion. We can invite everyone from your childhood. It can be a celebration of who we are now. The tiniest smile crept onto Mia's face, and for the first time, the warmth of the conversation began to thaw the cold atmosphere. Kyle's brow furrowed, but I could see him weigh the potential against his fears. "I think that could work," he said slowly. "But it means you have to promise me one thing." "Anything?" I replied, my heart thumping in anticipation. "Don't let the house become a weight. Let be a place to grow." His words resonated deeply, and I realized this moment could change everything. With renewed determination, I opened my mouth to agree, but just then, a loud crash echoed from the back of the chapel. We all turned, our hearts sinking as an unexpected figure stumbled through the doors. The murmurs shifted to gasps as a familiar face broke through the crowd, eyes frantic and wild. "Stop everything!" the figure shouted, and my heart raced anew with dread.
"What now?"
My breath caught in my throat as I recognized the wild eyes and disheveled hair of Emily, our estranged family friend. She had been a constant presence in our lives until everything shifted so drastically that it felt like she'd been erased. Yet here she was, standing at the threshold of a moment that had already felt so precarious. "Emily?" Mia whispered, her surprise morphing into concern. "What are you doing here?" Emily's chest heaved, and she looked like she'd run a marathon just to reach us. "I had to come. It's important. You've got to listen." Panic surged through her voice, sending fresh chills down my spine. "Important? What could possibly be so urgent that you just barged in like this?" Kyle shot back, his frustration boiling. But Emily didn't flinch. She pressed forward, her gaze darting around the chapel, a whirlwind of emotions swirling within her. "No, you don't understand. It's about the house, about everything you're planning. It's not what you think, it's not safe." Her words sat heavy in the air, the sentiment almost palpable. I felt the tension drawn tighter, edges of disbelief cutting into our fragile moment. "What do you mean it's not safe?" I asked, trying to keep my voice calm. The crowd started to chatter, whispers picking up like wildfire. I could feel the weight of them turning toward us, uncertain eyes staring, wondering what could spark such fear and urgency. "Someone has been creeping around," she said, lowering her voice as if the walls had ears. "I've seen them. They've been watching the house. I thought you should know before you get too wrapped up in whatever you're planning." "Watching? Who?" Mia asked, worry knitting her brows together. I don't know," Emily stammered, "but there's something off. I thought it was just me, but I saw them again last night. They were lurking outside, peeking in. This was all becoming too much." My heart raced, and I could see the fear reflecting back in Mia and Kyle's eyes. They each had their own battles. The last thing we needed was this chaos, she was claiming. "Emily, calm down," I urged, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside me. "We need to stay focused. Whatever fear you have, is it real? Or could it just be paranoia?" But she shook her head vehemently. "No, it's real. I swear." They're not. Just before she could finish, the door swung open again, revealing another unexpected sight. A local deputy, Officer Daniels, stepped inside with a serious look. The murmurs grew louder, tinged with confusion and concern. "I'm sorry to interrupt, folks, but we need to speak with Emily," he said bluntly. Emily's face paled even more. "What?
Why?"
We've received reports of suspicious activity near the property. Your name came up during the inquiry." The hushed tension enveloped the room as the reality of her situation settled in. Mia stepped closer to me, her hand trembling in mine. "What's happening, Dad?" she whispered. "We need to find out what she knows," I replied, a resolve building within me. "But we also have to stick together. This cannot tear us apart when we were just finding our way back to each other." As Officer Daniels moved forward to escort Emily, the panic etched on her face was unmistakable. I felt a sense of urgency shift in the air, a merging of fear and determination. With so many unknowns swirling around, a thought struck me. Could this be the catalyst for change we needed to confront our past? And what awaited us on the other side of this chaos?
"Wait,"
I called out just as they were about to take Emily away. "What are we really dealing with here?" The deputy hesitated, a flash of understanding crossing his face. It's not just about the house anymore. You all might be in deeper than you realize. My stomach twisted, and as I looked at Mia and Kyle, I knew that everything we had just begun to restore could very well unravel in the blink of an eye. What kind of danger loomed just at the edge of our newfound hope? The room grew quiet, almost too quiet. The air felt charged, like an electrical storm ready to break. Emily's eyes darted, searching for something, someone, an escape, or perhaps a sense of safety. But there was no mistaking the dread that filled the chapel as Officer Daniels stood firm, his presence heavy with authority. "Can you explain what is going on?" I pressed, desperation creeping into my voice. The glances around us were disconcerting. People were looking, speculating, drawn into a web of uncertainty that I didn't want to acknowledge, but couldn't ignore. Emily took a shaky breath, as if weighing her words carefully. "I didn't want to burden you. I thought I could handle it myself, but when I saw them, I realized I couldn't. They weren't just watching the house, they were watching you too." Kyle exhaled sharply, and Mia clutched my arm tighter. I felt the tension build between us, a thin cord ready to snap. "Watching us how?" "Stalking," Emily replied, her voice trembling. "I overheard conversations. I saw them hanging around at odd hours. They seemed intent on something that involved your family." "Then why didn't you come sooner?" Kyle said, frustration spilling over. "You just vanished, and now you show up out of the blue?" "I was scared." She shot back, eyes wide with hurt and fear. "I thought if I stayed away, they'd leave me alone. But it didn't work." Officer Daniels stepped closer. "Emily, have you communicated this to anyone else?" "The past few weeks, we've been getting reports that match your description. If you know something, you need to tell us. It could help keep people safe." The burden of the moment pressed down harder. I looked at my kids, their youthful faces lined with worry.
I wished I could shield them from this chaos.
"Emily, please," I urged gently. "If there's something we need to know, if there's a name." She hesitated but then sighed, the dread pouring from her. "I don't know their names, but they're not locals. They're different." Her voice dropped. The way they moved, it wasn't casual. They were determined. Mia lifted her chin, her young face set with a brave determination. "This can't be about just the house, right? If they're watching us, it has to be for something else." We've kept to ourselves, trying to rebuild. "Why us?" "Maybe it's because they know about the family," Officer Daniels said slowly, his eyebrows knitted together. "The property has a reputation. It's possible that your plans have touched something they don't want disturbed." A wave of realization washed over me, leaving its bitterness in my throat. "What do you mean? Touch something? Are they involved in something illegal?" The deputy looked grim. "I can't speak on that just yet, but I recommend you take this seriously. It's better to be cautious. If they're as intent as Emily believes, there's a reason, and it may involve your family's history." A clamor erupted in my chest. The old wounds of our family's past were reopening, challenging the fragile peace we'd been fighting so hard to establish. Kyle turned to me. "What do we do?" "I don't know," I admitted, but the resolve began to build. "We dig deeper. We have to uncover what's going on and protect each other. We've faced too much to let fear take hold." As I glanced around the room, uncertainty still blanketed us, but deep down, a flicker of hope sparked. If we stood together, we could confront whatever lay ahead. "Let us talk to my sister," I said, an idea forming. "She knows the townsfolk. She might know something more about their backgrounds, if they are dangerous. We can't let them dictate our lives." The crowd parted as we moved towards the exit. But just as we stepped outside, a vehicle squealed to a stop across the street. A figure, half hidden in the shadows, peered at us watching. I felt a chill run down my back. "We need to hurry," I said, urgency in my voice. But as we turned away, I couldn't shake the feeling that something was lurking just beyond our world, ready to pull us back into the darkness we thought we had escaped. What had we awakened in our quest to reclaim our family? The streets were eerily quiet as we stepped outside, the weight of fear pressing down on us like a thick fog. I scanned the area, my heart racing. The figure I'd seen just moments ago had disappeared into the darkness, leaving only a whisper of unease in its wake. I grabbed Mia's hand, tightening my grip, while my mind raced with thoughts of the stranger. "Stay close," I instructed, feeling the protective instinct surge within me. Kyle was already a few steps ahead, glancing back with concern etched on his face.
"We can't let them get to us," he said.
But deep down, I sensed the uncertainty in his voice. Emily walked at my side, her features drawn, still pale from the weight of her revelation. I should have said something sooner. I was stupid to think I could just forget about it. The regret in her voice tugged at my heart. She needed comfort, a sense of belonging again, just like us. As we made our way down the street, the comforting sounds of the town at night faded into an unsettling silence. I glanced at Kyle, who shot a worried look back at me. "Is it really safe to be out here?" he asked, the tension palpable. "There's safety in numbers," I replied, even if I didn't believe it. Mia spoke up. "What if they follow us?" Her eyes were wide, and I could see her fear reflected in the shadows around us. I hesitated, but then instinctively assured her, "They won't. We have to trust that we're not alone in this." We rounded the corner, the flickering streetlight illuminating Emily's anxious expression. "I thought I could protect you, but now it feels like I've put you all at risk." "We will figure this out," I assured her, but my voice sounded firmer than I felt. Reaching my sister's house felt like arriving at a fortress. Her lights shone brightly against the night, an inviting beacon in the midst of our growing darkness. I rapped on the door hurriedly, heart racing, a fresh urgency fueling my need for answers. My sister opened the door, having sensed our distress before we even spoke. "What's wrong?" she asked, searching our faces. There wasn't time to explain everything. "We need to talk," I insisted, ushering the kids inside. Once in the living room, I explained as concisely as I could what Emily had seen, the eerie feeling of being watched, and the sense of danger hanging over our family. My sister listened, eyes wide, nodding here and there, processing the culmination of events. "Have you checked the old records?" she asked suddenly. "What records?" I replied, confused. "The ones related to the property and our family. If they're interested in our past, maybe something there can explain it. There's a lot of history tied to this land. Can we go through them tonight?" Kyle chimed in, his excitement overtaking his fear. "Tonight?" I felt the nerves building again. "What if they come here?" "We can't hide, not anymore," my sister said firmly. "Finding the truth is our only defense." As we began looking through the stack of old papers and photographs, anxiety buzzed like static electricity in the room. Dust motes danced in the air as memories from our past started to unfurl around us. "What do you think we're going to find?" Mia asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "I don't know, honey," I said, elbow deep in memories and notes. "But we need to find out before it's too late." Just as a sense of hope started to bubble in my chest, the roar of engines broke the stillness outside. A group of figures pulled up right in front of the house, their shadows looming large against the dim light. "Who are they?" Kyle whispered, stiffening, all eyes fixed on the window, hearts pounding in sync. What had we unearthed that drew them here? The darkness felt heavier, and a chilling realization washed over me. They were here for something or someone that, as I stood frozen, I could feel the ground shifting beneath us. The truth was about to emerge, but at what cost? The sound of tires screeching to a halt pierced the tense silence in the room, jolting me out of my thoughts. The engines idled for a moment, a dark omen hanging in the air as my mind raced. "What do we do?" Emily's voice crackled, sharp with fear, pulling me back to the present. "Stay quiet and get behind the couch," I said, urgency spilling from my lips as I ushered the kids down, keeping my eyes glued to the window. My sister followed suit, grabbing a few old newspapers to shield what little light we had. I cursed under my breath, wishing we de-locked the doors tighter. From the corner of the window, I caught a glimpse of shadowy figures stepping out of the vehicles. They moved with confidence, their bodies casting eerie silhouettes against the glow of the streetlights. It was impossible to tell how many were out there, but even one could spell trouble. "Are they coming here?" Mia whispered, her small frame shaking beside me. I couldn't bear to look into her pleading eyes, but I forced myself to remain calm for her sake.
We don't know yet.
A sudden shout echoed through the night, making my heart race. Is anyone home? The voice called out, distorted but definitely assertive. My stomach dropped. They were looking for us. I could feel my sister tense beside me as we exchanged worried glances. It's probably just someone lost, I said, feigning confidence, even as panic clawed at my chest. I could almost hear the thoughts in my sister's mind, all echoing in a familiar rhythm. Are we safe? What do we do? Another figure stepped closer to the house, creeping along the porch, inspecting the windows one by one. My heart thundered, a visceral reminder I was about to confront something potentially deadly. I was haunted by images of the figure I'd spotted earlier, and the fear gripped me tight. They were connected somehow. Maybe they just want to talk, my sister suggested, tentatively. If we just know. I interrupted, my voice rising. They might be dangerous. We can't expose ourselves. My sister opened her mouth to argue, but I shook my head firmly. We can't take that risk. We wait. Then, without warning, there was a loud banging at the door. We know you're in there. The voice barked again, more authoritative this time. Open up. I could see fear creeping into the faces of the children. Mia's tears shimmered in the dim light as she clutched Kyle's arm tightly. I want to go home, she whimpered. Me too, Mia, I said softly, kneeling in front of them. But I need you to trust me, just a little longer. We will get through this.
Who are they?
Kyle asked, his voice cracking.
I don't know, but we're not letting them in.
The knocking intensified, each strike landing like a hammer against my resolve. I glanced at my sister, who was now scanning our surroundings, searching for something, anything to give us a hint at what was happening. Suddenly, one of the shadows outside shifted closer to the door, a face emerging from the darkness. An all-too-familiar face, one that sent icy dread through my veins. Open up. It demanded once more, anger radiating from his voice. Dad? His eyes met mine, and the shock left me momentarily stunned. How could he be here? I fought against the urge to reach for the door, confused yet overwhelmed by a whirlwind of emotions. But what had he come for? The deep-seated connection we had was now tangled with betrayal and fear. Dad? I repeated softly, the question barely escaping my lips. As the tension peaked, I felt the world around me fade, leaving only the desperate beat of my heart. What had I walked into? And more importantly, what was I going to do? The silence that followed felt like a live wire, buzzing with unsaid words and unexpressed fears. I searched my father's eyes, looking for a sign, any sign, hope, reassurance, an explanation, but all I found was a storm of emotions swirling behind his gaze. Let me in, Lily, he implored, his voice softer now, almost desperate. I can help you. I promise. Help. Or hurt. I shot back, anger flaring in my chest. I didn't recognize the person standing outside. The man I knew was kind, protective, but that was a different time.
This was now.
Fear clawed at me, gripping tighter with every heartbeat, and I felt the weight of the children, trembling beside me, their wide eyes reflecting the confusion swirling in my mind. Emily nudged me, her face a mask of uncertainty. Maybe we should hear him out. Just a little, she murmured, but I shook my head, steel in my thoughts. I couldn't risk it. Not when it came to protecting Mia and Kyle. Stay behind me. No matter what, I whispered to the kids, taking a protective stance. They nodded, their trust in me a fragile tether that I was desperate to uphold. Lily, look at me, my dad insisted, his voice rising again. You don't understand. They're coming for you. You're not safe here. Not anymore. Panic surged through me. Who's coming? He hesitated, a flicker of fear crossing his features. I can't say too much out here. It's too dangerous. But the way he spoke, it sent chills down my spine. Let me in, and I'll explain everything. I clenched my jaw, torn between yearning for the father I'd lost and the instinct to protect what was mine. But I could feel the weight of the situation pressing down on me like a physical force. Would letting him in mean bringing danger straight into the heart of our sanctuary? Suddenly, I heard a shuffle behind me. The children. Kyle's tiny voice broke through the tension. If he's our dad, shouldn't we trust him, right? No, Kyle, I said, hesitating. Trust felt like a luxury we couldn't afford. He's not the same. He's not. Outside, my father's figure shifted impatiently, his frustration palpable. You think I want to hurt you? You have to believe me. They're looking for you. They've got people out looking for you. The words echoed in my mind, their weight heavy. My heart raced. Whoever these people were, they wanted what was inside this house. They wanted us. Another bang resounded on the door, followed by a clamoring of voices I couldn't decipher. It was chaos brewing outside, and I felt my grip on the situation loosening. I don't know if I can trust you, I said finally, trying to match his intensity. What if this is all a trap? His face fell for a moment, shadowed by an emotion I couldn't place. Regret? Fear? It's not. I promise I'll protect you, he said, urgency spilling from each word. But you have to let me in. The kids were silent, and in that tense moment, I could hear the ticker of their rapid heartbeats under the weight of the unknown. I locked eyes with Emily, and I could see in her expression that she was equally lost. Before I knew it, I felt myself leaning toward the door, all sense of caution wavering on the brink of breaking. But what awaited on the other side? Could I truly balance the line between trusting my father and putting my children in danger? The silence yawned between us, deep and full of potential catastrophe. Just as I opened my mouth to speak, another loud crash from the back of the house jolted us. What was that? Mia squeaked, her eyes darting to mine, full of terror, and in that moment of panic, I realized there was more than one threat lurking in the darkness, and it was time to make a choice that could change everything. What would it mean for us if I chose wrong? The sound of the crash echoed like thunder in my ears, sending shockwaves of fear through the room. My heart raced, pushing me toward a desperate decision. Even if my father stood outside, pleading with urgency, I couldn't let my guard down now. Stay close, I whispered to the kids, panic sparking in my veins as we huddled together. What was that noise? Kyle asked, eyes wide with uncertainty. I glanced toward the noise. I don't know, but we have to stick together. The urgency filled the air, heavy and electric. Officer Daniels hadn't left the front of the house, and I could sense he was starting to take control of the situation, his calm demeanor spurring me to react. We'll move everyone to the back, I said firmly. Every room has a lock. Let us get to safety first. Distracting myself from my father's frantic pleas, I tightly grasped the kids' hands, urging them toward the back of the living room, moving as one unit. My sister trailed close behind, casting worried glances. I ignored the growing heat in my chest, clutching tight to the familiar sense of protectiveness like armor. Why are we doing this? Why can't we just let him in? Kyle's small voice trembled beside me. Because we don't know who he is anymore. I snapped, wanting to soothe but feeling chaos welling inside me. We can't risk it until we know more. Let me help. My father yelled through the closed door, frustration leaking into his words. You're in danger, Lily. And just then, right as we began shifting toward the back of the house, a loud crash tore through the momentum, echoing through the walls. I froze, the sound reverberating like a bell tolling ominous news. In that moment, I felt something shift beneath my feet, uncertainty morphed into clarity. We had to act. Go, I urged, motioning for my sister to lead the kids outside through the side door, while I moved back toward the front window. Counting heartbeats as I neared the window, the scene outside unraveled before me like a frantic painting. Shadows swarmed, moving like storm clouds, outlines of figures moving in rapid motion. A dread settled over my heart. They weren't just watching anymore, they were encroaching. Lily. Emily's voice pulled me back. I think we should leave.
But where?
What about I motioned toward the door? The moment felt stuck between worlds, my fear of the past and the growing threat trying to force their way into our space. Your father, she started, but the alarm in her tone signaled something deeper.
He has history.
He might know how to help. A rush of conflicting emotions surged through me. I can't just let him in, I said, glancing again at the shadows outside. What if look? Emily urged, pointing at my father's figure now standing alone, a small island on the porch against the chaos unfolding from beneath the streetlights. He looked desperate. There was vulnerability etched across his face, lines that told stories I could hardly remember, but still, that bond felt buried beneath the fear. He must know something, Emily said softly. What if he can help us get rid of whatever's coming? In that moment, a decision cracked through my uncertainty, crystallizing in an instant of clarity. It was time to embrace the past, face whatever demons lurked, and find the strength within a family bond that had been frayed and beaten. Okay, I said, voice steadying. We open the door just a crack. If it gets dangerous, we'll react. I motioned to my sister, who nodded. We moved slowly back toward the door, a rising sense of urgency surrounding us. With every step, my heart thundered louder, fear and hope weaving like threads around me. Kyle and Mia stood behind me, watching wide-eyed. I'm going to let him in, I whispered as I approached the door, feeling the air crackle with tension. But protect each other. There was a moment of silence before, with a hesitant breath, I opened the door just enough to reveal my father's terrified face. Lily Shaw, I said, my voice descending into a whisper that lingered in the air. You need to tell me everything.
Now.
But they're coming, he urged, desperation clouding his voice. Eyes darting toward the shadows gathering at the edges of our property, I turned my gaze outside, the weight of his words pressing against me like a stone. In that breathless moment of decision, none of us could afford to use any more time and hesitation. Invite him in, Emily murmured firmly. I took my father's arm, pulling him through the door with a rush of adrenaline and fear coating my veins. As he stepped inside, the door slammed shut with a weighty finality. The room was thick with unspoken words, and all eyes turned toward my father, waiting. I'll tell you everything, he said, breathless, a fervor igniting his words. But we need to move now. The past is coming for what it lost, and it all revolves around your family. The gravity of those words unfolded like a heavy curtain, echoing through the space, and in that moment, a flicker of resolve solidified within me. We would fight. We would reclaim our family bonds. Together, we would face this threat head-on, and as I exchanged glances with my family, we all sensed the same dawn rising before us. Our fight for the house would become a fight for each other, and only together could we learn to mend what had been broken. In this moment, the unfurling chaos outside no longer felt like an ending. It felt like a beginning, a chance to reshape our destiny with the echo of every laughter, every tear, binding our hearts anew. Let us go find out who's been watching us, I said with fierce determination. Each challenge we faced would only strengthen us. Each moment, good or perilous, was proof of a bond worth fighting for. As we turned toward the door, ready to face whatever awaited us outside, there was a shared understanding among us. Love was more than memories. It was living in the now and protecting each other fiercely. And with that resolve, we stepped into the night the shadows were waiting, but so too were we, hand in hand. We would face the future together, step by step, heart by heart. And whatever came next, we stood ready. Now is the time to rally behind our story. You need to subscribe now to not miss the next exclusive unfolding of our lives. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and keep this transformation alive. Comment your reactions and feelings about this jaw-dropping conclusion. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this journey. Stand with us. Only true fans understand the importance of supporting this channel through your actions.